Hello and welcome. I'm W.R. Frady, and I'd like to invite you to join me with a little map making tonight. I'm doing a little bit of world building, and if you followed my previous video, then you know that I was putting in forests for the continent of Loren. That is kind of what we'll be doing again tonight, just a little bit different, a little more. And well, instead of talking about it, well, let's get to it. All right, I'm gonna flip you around here. And whoop. There we go. It's a lot better when you turn the lights on, or in this case, move the slider to the side. Excuse me. All right. We are going to start over here in the, let's see if I can remember the name of it. We are going to go to the Bramblewood. Yes. We're going to start right here with the Bramblewood. You see the original hand-drawn version of that. So here is what we are going to do. We're going to start here. There's a tree. All right. So as you see, when you're putting in the forests, you definitely want to try and keep a good, what's the word I want to say? You want to keep a good variety because, up here in these upper forests, these are going to be more common for northern climates. Yes, folks, this is where your social studies comes into hand. Yeah, it comes into play. Social studies and sciences like geography and such like that. This would be the northern, what they would call the northern coniferous, kind of like what you would see in the Canadian regions or the upper way northern European areas, where you'd see a lot more evergreens and pine type trees, as they don't require the same kind of climate and the same kind of weather patterns as what the temperate and deciduous forests would have. So as you can see, with the continent of Loren alone, it is a continent that has a very broad, or an incredibly broad spectrum of climates, ranging from the polar and Arctic-like north, going into the deciduous and the temperate, all the way down into the jungles and the tropical type regions, tropics and subtropics. So let's take a look at it up here. Okay, see, here we are. This is the upper part of Loren. This is a complete icy wasteland. These are the coniferous forests, like I was explaining before, common to taiga regions. Then you've got the temperate and deciduous forests and mixed forests of these more central, almost kind of like what you would see the most of the United States, or that region, the most of the United States regions. And then you come all the way on down, and then you start getting farther and further south, and you start getting into you start noticing that you've got more tropical and jungle type forests. And that's not counting the mushroom forest that's over there. That's its own unique individual region. But yeah, so you're seeing basically what we're looking at when it comes to building these forests. So trying to keep it geologically and geographically sound, you want to make sure that the forests, if you're building a map of your own, or a world or a land, you want to make sure your forests are suitable for the climate in which they are set. It makes things a little more believable. You know, you don't want stuff like 7 to 200 year winters or anything like that. Just you want it to be geographically and basically sound that like it would actually be a living, breathing world. But yeah, anyway, you go in and see what I like to do, and I'm going to explain these symbols a little bit. Okay, these round, now that looks more like a regular old, like an oak or a poplar or something like this. The round would be more like birch or, you know, some of the trees that you would see in other regions. And then you come in and you do some more hardwoods, but then you've got your coniferous trees. So you want to make sure it looks like a pine tree. And then you might have something that looks like a pine tree but kind of like kind of like an offshoot. And then more this. Matter of fact, I'm going to make a good little copse of pine trees here. And then I'm going to... Okay, see how that's working? Now I'm going to come in behind it. See, I got a copse of those, copse of that. Then I'm going to come in and put in some more hardwoods. Ancient timber. Because, you know, you got that ancient canopies of autumn leaves. Little Sleep Token joke there. If you like the music of Sleep Token. Excuse me. But comes from the song Euclid. If you're not familiar, it's the song that actually sold me on Sleep Token. I'm going to fix that. I did not like the way that played out right there. Okay. Yeah, just to let you know, you want to use either a regular blue or non-photo blue type pencil for doing this. I want to thank my good friend and brother, Greg Bo Watson, for throwing that hint to me and giving me some good solid tips on that. He's the one who led me to find those kind of find and use those kinds of pencils for my drawings. As you can see, if you look down close to this, you'll see the light blue of this one in those areas. I'm going to have to look and see if I got more lead. I would like to get back to using more of the light blue. But yeah, you can see that the forests are starting to come to life a little more. I'm having a little trouble working with Carolyn because I want to put in Aldwoodorn. And Aldwoodorn's probably going to go in this little area right in here. But Aldwoodorn is the wise oak of Carolyn. And, you know, he's large, he's immortal, he's wise. And basically he's a keeper of all knowledges, much like the Rock of Aegis, who is right here. and is in the Shining Mountains. So those two are basically eternal entities of the continent of Loren and the world of Areth, and two creatures that have seen Anno himself, who is the creator. So, again, a little background lore, which that kind of thing brings the world to life. When you have a good, rich lore. Yeah, look at that. There we go. See how it's starting to look? Now, this right here is the Wyvernwood, named so for the prevalence of wyverns and similar creatures inside that call this place home. And so with it being so close to Drakenholm, it is greatly unique. And also, so you're going to also find dragons in this set of woods. Okay. All right. I've enjoyed doing this. You know, honestly, it's been so long since I have done these maps. I've forgotten how much I actually really enjoyed it. There's a freedom to creating your own world that, while it is such a Herculean task, and it really is, it is not for... Creating a world is not just for anybody to just reach out and do on a whim. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, but it's not something that you should look at it, that anybody should look at it and go, oh, well, I can do that. Wait till you get into trying it. I mean, yeah, you can make a world. You might even make a halfway decent world, but then if you follow the wrong guidelines in bringing that world to life, and by guidelines I mean you don't want your world has to have a reason to exist in the format and state in which it does. And for that, you don't want to just, you know, just create something just because there it is. To be honest with you, I have been trying to build my own worlds probably since high school. I mean, just being honest about it. I mean, good Lord, I mean, we're just going to be honest about it. Anyway, no, but yeah, seriously, it's not a task for anybody that isn't ready for it. You got to know that you're up for some very daunting and tedious work on this. Like, for example, with this map that you're seeing me create, there is, with the original map, there is 10,000 years of what has been planned out to be about a 17 to 20,000 year timeline that I have written the history for. That is not something to. That's not something that you can just. That I'm not saying you have to do that. And you don't have to make it that big. I mean, after all, there is, as far as recorded history, there's about roughly, I'm just going to say 6,000 years of recorded history for us, going all the way back into Egypt and Babylonia and so forth. So, I mean, in that, so what I'm saying on that is, just because you don't have to have, this world requires the timeline that I'm building. Each and every world is unique. You might even have a brand new, very newborn world that the history could even be less than a couple of 100 years. I mean, that alone is enough to say, excuse me, that alone is enough to, give rise to that this is what transpired and led to this, but it's still a very new beginning. After all worlds had to have a beginning point and a point in which time and history began. So yeah, I mean, you could even have have one that you are creating the timeline, you are building the world that is in its genesis of a sense. Okay, I want to make sure my Wyvernwood. Okay, I'm going to show you something. Okay, when in the Wyvernwood here, you see how the rivers get lost inside of the forest right there? I'll come back down here where I'm working. That's what I'm trying to eliminate here. I'm trying to eliminate that problem. I'm trying to open it up so you can see where the rivers are coming through, but still let you know that the forest is there and is very much a part of that. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating a tree border here. Now I gotta get some. Anyway, I'm creating a tree border here. Okay, I don't like that. Let me get that right there back out. Alright, now. There we go, that's better. Now. Let's see. Put some more trees in right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to finish filling in the Wyvernwood here while I'm on here with you guys. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this ready. And I'll continue working and we'll pick back up another day. If you followed my Instagram page, especially if you followed it back in the late 2000s, late like 2018, 2019, I used to do a similar streaming while drawing fantasy castles, and all the fantasy castles like this were a part of the world in which you're seeing me work on. So look at that. That is the Wyvernwood. Ah, that looks so much. I'm looking at that and I'm looking at it. I love this. That looks so much better than the original. There we go. It looks so much cleaner and so much neater. Now, just to let you know, before I end this off, once I get all of these penciled in, Excuse me. Once I get all of these penciled in, I am going to go back with a green Prisma. I think it's Prismacolor. But I'm going to go back with a green Prismacolor fine marker, like what has been used on the rivers and then the mountains. And I am going to go back with various shades of green. One for, I'm going to get something for a green for the coniferous, but I'm going to get different greens for the deciduous and deciduous and temperate areas. Just like I'm going to get a deeper green for the jungle areas. But yeah, so I'm going to go back in and ink them in different shades of green so that the forests really stand out and pop by compared to what you see with the mountains and then the rivers. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you joining me. And as I get ready to wrap this up for the night, I would like to let you know that I appreciate you joining me in this journey. I'd also like to invite you to check out my website, which is the ebenstone.tower.com. The ebenstone.tower.com is the official website for W.R. Frady and all that I'm doing. It's the home of the Wise Oak, which is the Whisper, which is the World of Areth, and the Island of Grain, the continent of Gelinor, Balador, all a part of the World of Areth. It's also the home of the Darkhaven Manor, home of the Vampire Killer. It is the home of Legends of Lacey Road and the Tales of the Fireside. It's the home of Wolf Moon Studios, which I want to be able to start doing more with Wolf Moon Studios soon. So we'll see what's going on with that, including featured artists and stuff. But we'll discuss that at a later time. However, there's much more to see at the ebenstone.tower.com. Stories that you can read, lore that you can get into, and there's still a lot of stuff that's under construction, a lot of stuff that's being built. So keep coming back, keep staying tuned, because the website's always getting updated and changed and added to, and a lot more getting ready to go into play with that. Anyway, I would like to thank you for joining me, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me in this journey. I will see you again soon. Have a good night.